Vesper Mistchart. The scent of a forgotten library, of damp vellum and dust motes dancing in sunbeams, arrived on the evening air. It was a cartographer's dream, a complex topography begging to be charted. Vesper Mistchart traced its contours with his mind's eye, but then came the undercurrent, the sharp, acidic tang of fear. This was no simple mustiness. It was the scent of a man, a reclusive collector named Alistair Finch, who was terrified of a discovery he'd made. Vesper's moral compass, usually fixed on pure cartography, wavered. He could honor the sanctity of a man's private terror, or he could map it, publish its unique emotional longitude and latitude for the world to see. His fingers, stained with ink, hovered over his parchment. The choice was made not with a pen, but with a breath. He inhaled deeply, committing the entire, fearful symphony to memory, deciding his art's truth was greater than one man's peace. He published Finch's Fright in the Quarterly Journal of Olfactory Cartography. Academics marveled at the precision of the fear-vectored notes, but the chain reaction was unforeseen and brutal. Rival Sentchartists, a ruthless pair named the Lockwood Twins, recognized the signature. They descended upon Alistair Finch's isolated estate not as scholars, but as thieves. They didn't want to map his discovery, they wanted to possess the source of it. Fragile, crystalline orchid that bloomed only once a century. The scent of fear Vesper had so elegantly documented was now a beacon, a map leading directly to ruin. The Lockwoods left chaos in their wake, and Finch, broken by the violation, swallowed the key to his own research, his life's work, and vanished into the city's anonymous scentscape. A week later, a parcel arrived wrapped in plain brown paper and smelling faintly of remorse and cheap soap. Inside was Finch's journal, and tucked within its pages, a single pressed petal from the orchid. A note, scribbled in a shaking hand, read, "They have the flower, but they cannot read its map. Only AIart. Help me get it back. Destroy your publication. Recant your map. Tell them it was a fiction, and I will show you the truth it points to." It was a chance for absolution, to scrub the stain of his choice from the record. The temptation was a cool, clear scent, like forgiveness after a long drought. He could undo it all. Vesper found Finch in a flophouse that stank of despair and boiled cabbage. Together they tracked the Lockwoods to a perfumer's abandoned workshop. Their plan was simple: sneak in, retrieve the orchid, but Vesper, in his arrogance, believed he could outmaneuver them using his skills. He attempted to create a scent smoke screen, a complex map of confusion and misdirection. Instead, the volatile compounds reacted with the Lockwoods' own alchemical preserves. The workshop erupted not in flame, but in a devastating olfactory blast that permanently fused the scent of the rare orchid with the acrid smell of chemical failure and greed. The orchid's pure, original scent was forever lost, and the Lockwoods, now enraged and scent-blind, swore a vendetta against them both. Cornered in the wreckage, with Finch weeping over the desecrated blossom, Vesper understood. There was no going back to the man he was before he first smelled that library. His original choice had set this path, and to reverse course now would be its own form of cowardice. He looked at the ruined orchid, its scent now a brutal monument to his failure. "No," he said, his voice quiet but final. "I will not recant. I will map what we have left. I will chart the scent of this ruin. I will make a map so true, so devastating, that it will serve as both our confession and our epitaph." He pulled out his parchment, not to erase, but to record. He committed to the path. The final reckoning was not in a courtroom, but in the pages of his final great work, the Atlas of a Fractured Bloom. He mapped everything. The initial fear, the thievery, the chemical fire, the loss. He mapped Finch's despair and the Lockwoods' avarice, weaving them into the orchid's forever altered signature. The academic world was horrified by the story it told. The Lockwoods were ostracized, their reputations scented with infamy. Finch was recognized as a victim and a genius, but it was a hollow victory. He was given back his honor, but could never get back his flower. And Vesper, he was lauded for his brutal honesty and unparalleled skill, but the acclaim smelled of ash. Years later, Vesper Mistchart lives in a small room above a bakery. The air is thick with the simple, honest scent of rising dough and sugar. He no longer maps. His great atlas sits on a shelf, gathering its own kind of dust. Sometimes, on the wind, a complex smell will drift by. A memory of vellum, a hint of fear, the ghost of a shattered flower. He does not reach for his parchment. He simply closes his eyes and endures it. A permanent resident in the landscape of regret his own choice created, the cartographer who became the territory he sought to chart.